to get into. Pretty girl on deck.
Hey, everybody. She just welcome to the Love Movie Podcast with my co-host, Lady Z, fashion and entertainment person, and the money-minded Toya Capri. We got two special guests here tonight, Randall McFarland, part of the Best of Proviso Township, and we have the trustee from Maywood, Mr. Bill Jones. These are heavyweights. So the things that we're going to get into, it's going to be interesting. Toya, how was your trip?
It was fun. I went to Des Moines, Iowa, which is not as interesting as most people think it is.
It was fun.
But we had a good time. I had a work conference from Wednesday to Friday, and I presented. So
okay. Well, welcome back.
Thank you.
Welcome back. We're glad to have you back. We're going to talk about the sponsors. We have 717. Thank you. Always coming through, and the Division Street Grill in Melrose Park. Thank you. We also have the Blue Note. You guys can call and set up your schedules or whatever you're trying to have, what event, and they'll make sure that they accommodate you. And we have some new sponsors. We have The Touch. Thank you, Tiffany Jenkins, for looking out. It was it was a nice conversation that we had, and it was beautiful. And then we also had a view. Raina and Nino will be here next week on the 12th. So we have them working out. And then we have Viola Shy. Viola Shy is a group of young men that have the new dispensary in Broadview on 16th and Roosevelt.
African American men too.
Yeah, and they have a special every day of the week. Every day it's a Monday special, Tuesday special, Wednesday special. It's a special every day of the week. And then if you live in the Proviso Township area, they have another discount for you. And I also have some discount cards for Viola Shy. If they have a Monday special and you buy the Monday special and you want to get something else, you can use these cards. So you can use these cards at any time. I want to thank Sharif and Dan for looking out and taking care of us. And we really, really appreciate you. And also, I want to shout out to my man, Moonshine Slim. Moonshine got him a nice little article of Village Press. And I think that's awesome. He got that, to me, it's that underground kind of, he be doing his thing. And he acknowledges a lot of people that he went to school with. He acknowledges, what they're doing. And I'm happy for you, big bro. You be safe. Take care of yourself out there. And work hard. So, yeah. But today, it's kind of a little bit different because of what we are going through right now, especially with the influx of the migrants and stuff like that. But Randy, tell us a little bit about the Best of Proviso and how it came about.
Well, we've been in existence for about 8 years now. We actually started. I remember we had our first meeting at Operation Uplift. It was myself, Rajeska Jackson, Stoney Gillespie, Noah Sykes, Reggie Ratliff, and Speed Alexander.
Okay.
We were looking at what was going on in our community. All of us were doing separate work in the community. And Rajeska sent out a message to everyone, and we came together. And we decided that Reggie already had his internal light going on. And Speed already had his Maywood Bucks going on. And one thing I don't believe if we got programs that are successful, why should we reinvent the wheel? So we agreed that they would continue with their programs and we would support them.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So
y'all doing a great job too, man, because y'all getting information all over the Chicagoland area, and it helps. It works for us. We know when the food drives are. We know when the clothing drives are. We know when a lot of things that going on through your program, and that's beautiful. And this young man right here, I mean, a trustee for the village of Maywood, and Maywood is on the move. And it used to be on the move backwards, but now you're on the move forward because I see you bringing a lot of things in the town. So what made you want to be a trustee?
Yeah. So, well, first of all, thank you for having me. I mean, it really does mean a lot. You speak about Maywood, and there's so many great people there. It's easy to serve the town when you have, the people that want to have a business there, or people that want to come from our community, and so many people that we're proud of, whether it be through athletics or business or music, etc. So I just want to say, thank you for having me. My story, real quick, born and raised in Maywood, graduated from Washington Elementary, now Washington Dual Language Academy, graduated from Walther Lutheran High School. I've only spent about 8 years away from Maywood. I went to college at Illinois State University, got a degree in accounting, lived with some of my frat brothers, from
What's their frat?
Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. Shout out Ada.
Sorry, yeah,
Shout out Rhoda Zeta.
It's okay because you made a mistake. It's all right. It's all right.
Hey,
Omega.
But I got love for the bros too.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Some of my best homies are from the Pi Beta chapter at Illinois State, and a lot of great dudes. But so I got a degree in accounting. I started working right out of college. I was living, like I mentioned, I had roommates with one of my neos at the time, and so after about 4 years, we decided to split. He wanted to move on to different pastures, purchase a home, and so I was like, well, I couldn't afford to live by myself on my salary, so I moved back to Maywood with my mom, and I was here, I was working. I'm like, I need to figure out how to get more involved in the community. Like, I'm here, I got some talent. Let me figure out what to do. So I went to my first board meeting. I went up to the mayor. At that time was Mayor Perkins. And I was like, hey, I'm from the community. I just graduated. I'm looking to figure out how to get involved. And she's like, well, you should join a commission. And I'm like, okay. And so I somehow ended up on the Planning and Zoning Board of Commissions, where in a nutshell, that's where you discuss land usage. You discuss zoning issues. And I started to learn about economics and how that works and how Maywood is built, how we're primarily residential. We have a little bit of, retail space, Fifth Avenue, Roosevelt Road, First Avenue, Lake Street, but primarily, we're like a bedroom community. It's a bunch of single family homes. It's kind of set up to be a middle-class suburb. I learned how that worked. And once I figured out, okay, the impact that I need to make, I need to be on the board. So I ran into Trustee Brandon at the barbershop. We ended up chopping it up. I'm like, hey, man, I'm trying to figure out how to get on the board. He was like, oh, you can run with me. I ran, was successful enough to, get elected, and now I'm on my second term since April. So I've been in about 5 years.
God bless you, man. That's beautiful. And Maywood is, they're on the move for real. Here it is. We have Kroger's distribution, food distribution company on 19th and Maywood Drive.
Yes, sir.
And then now you got a Starbucks coming up.
Well, that's not confirmed, but in that former Checkers location right there on First and Roosevelt, we have been getting some good feedback in terms of opportunity. Same thing with the grocery store building, but we got to seal the deal, right?
Well, I just want to say this: if you got a Kroger's distribution company, in
absolutely.
Town, what about a Kroger's store in your town?
Absolutely. No, so you're absolutely right. I mean, that's how you, utilize your business community to get other things done. Like because they understand what it takes to get a grocery store in our community. And so our community development department has been kind of work with them to figure out, because Kroger has their own criteria in terms of, so that's a distribution center. And then you can also, just for the community, you can online, you can order. Kroger is, purchase, Mariano's and so forth. So you can order online. They do service our community. So, just so you know that, but they have their own criteria based on race, demographic, this, that, and this, and what's the criteria if they want to move into a building, what needs to be the square footage, and so because they have a bottom line to hit, and so we have to get over that hump of figuring out how we can make sure that our businesses are profitable, and it's a win-win for our community, and the other thing is too, it needs to be a win-win for our region. Communities survive and thrive because it's not just the town anymore. We're in a global market. Like, people have to be able to, come from our, surrounding towns, whether it be Merle's Park or Forest Park or River Forest, and say, hey, I want to shop there too. Broadview, Bellwood. So it has to have a regional appeal as well. So we don't put so much pressure on our residents that are already paying high property taxes and so forth. So it needs to be something that has a regional feel to be successful and sustainable.
And how do you feel? You got your store.
That's one of the questions I was going to ask him. How do they determine exactly what type of businesses are being brought to the community? And are they taking into consideration of what's needed?
And when you say that, like we, like as far as the Village of Maywood, Yeah, so we play an interesting role in it. At the end of the day, it's private market, so we can't force anyone to come to our community. We can incentivize. We have enterprise zones, and we have TIFs and other opportunities where the government incentivizes these different tax incentives where we can incentivize them to say, hey, this is not only profitable, but it's also a social implication too. Like we're in an area where we're not readily available in terms of fresh produce and so forth. So it's that opportunity, but we can't force them. So the best thing that we could do is advocate for the town and create the conditions in which businesses can thrive. That's what communities do, and that's not only just a Village of Maywood role. You have Chamber of Commerces that play roles in that. You have community development corporations that play roles in that. Banks and credit unions. Like it's an ecosystem. The community plays a role in that. There's also things like in Oak Park, they have co-ops where where the community owns has ownership and owns stock into the those type of businesses as well. So it really just depends on what the market is saying, but also we play a role, but it's not the only role on how to get that done.
That's awesome, man, and thank you for sharing your knowledge about how this game goes, because it's a lot different. And I'm a switch trails right now, because we have a migrant influx of people. They're coming in at an alarming rate in Chicago, and then I understand they were out here today at the Quinn Center, and some people don't think it's fair. Some people don't think it's fair. I understand that it was sanctioned by Lori Lightfoot. For Chicago was a sanctioned city that she did to come in. How does that work when you dealing with a situation like migrants coming in? Because they spent $51 million to for the funding of them, and then they closed down our schools. I think that's a little bit concerning to me. How do you look at that?
Yeah, it's a very challenging situation. Let me just kind of say that. And if you don't mind, I could take a few minutes to kind of break down how I think about it. So these individuals, these people that are, coming to not only Chicago, but New York and Texas and, really all over the country and all over the world are, primarily they're from central and northern part of South America, primarily like Venezuela, Colombia, and they're running from poverty. They're running from violence. These people are going across, they're traveling across the world to live. And so, like that's a little different than, let's say, illegals hopping over the fence. I don't know if you guys travel. I'm assuming, you can't easily get over a border, right? Right. So these people are migrants, which means they are assailants. And so our country has we have laws, international laws that govern us in terms of how we can handle that. But these people are looking for refuge, and so I think the issue is way bigger than us. It's really at the federal level. When you accept these people, you have to have a plan, and you have to sync that up with the state and the local community, and you got to get buy-in. It needs to be a plan. And so when you rush, you get this type of rush into the community, it really puts the leaders in a really tough situation, because you have to address the now. And then you also have to address the social implications of this. And so with so many moving parts, it's really an emergency. So, I try to think about it from a compassion perspective, especially, our history and our plight in this country. We have to lead with that, because, in a lot of cases, we've come from nothing and, trying to pull each other up. But it's very complicated. And what's happening in Venezuela is actually, and specifically, is really sad. They have a leader named Nicolas Maduro. He's the predecessor of Hugo
Chavez.
He's a dictator, but they have they have a democracy. And so what has happened is, and I'm not going to get deep into it because I got to be politically correct here, but in a nutshell, Venezuela about 10 years ago was one of the more thriving countries in South America, and now it has completely plummeted. We think we have inflation here. They have ridiculous inflation. Getting medicine and COVID shots, it's a disaster there. Their GDP has dropped a lot. There's also
GDP. What is the GDP?
Gross domestic product. So that's basically it's an economic measure that measures your economic growth.
Yes.
Like what you're able to receive in these different revenue streams, and it's dropped a lot. A lot of it due to bogus politics, and since they've been doing like some really bad elections and stuff, where it's kind of crooked, long story short. And so the country has kind of rebelled, and it's just a sad situation. And then you also have to deal with on our end in our community and some of the things that we've been dealing with, and then resources get taken away from us. That's not fair. And so that's where I know Governor Pritzker has been on top of it, but the federal government has to respond immediately so we can address this. But I do want to say this too, what this means for Black people. Because there is a reason why the federal government is allowing this. And it's because, we're in a situation where, although a lot of people are losing their jobs, there's a lot of lower income jobs that aren't being taken. A lot of people aren't working. And so the idea is that they're going to bring these people in that are fighting for their lives, that are willing to do anything to work.
And that's the bottom line.
And they're going to get those jobs. And we have to just know that's what's happening, because this is capitalism, this is economics. And so we need to make sure that, we're also in this workforce, because, we're here, and some people feel like, well, people can come from another country and then take all these steps and somehow get ahead of us. We have to understand what's going on. So, that's just something to be aware of.
Yeah,
but,
it's an interesting thing. 708-223-8953. If you got any questions about this, 708-223-8953. Randy, what is your take on the migrant situation?
Well, first of all, the picture that I tagged you on, they weren't here today. They were here back in May. They were here for like 3 months. I used to run the vaccine clinic out of this Quinn Center. Quinn Center, for anybody from Maywood, they know that's the old St. Eulalia school. And we had a vaccine clinic every Tuesday from 4 to 6, 4 to 7. By the time 10 o'clock came in the morning, it would be about 60 of them lined up already, because we was getting out $100 gift cards. Here's the thing. Before I address other people and their predicament, I got to understand it. If you see the Venezuelans, you would actually think some of them grew up on 12th and Madison, 13th and Madison. They are us. And if you look at them, see the kids they walking with, you'll take a little step back and say, okay, wait a minute. It ain't just about sending them back. Because if you send 500 of them back, it's going to be 5,000 at the border. That's not the fix. One thing that amazed me is that the first day they came to us, they walked from North Park College. North Park College, walk from North Park College to Maywood, that was a 4-hour walk in 90 degrees weather. And some of them was pushing children with them. So we got to know them. I'm speaking to them with my broken Spanish, my survival Spanish, we got to know them, and they told us their journey. What amazed me is that the communities that they walk through, every community that they walking through is not friendly. Some of those communities that they walking through are gang infested. So whereas some people saying, hey, let them survive on their own. The one thing we all know about the streets is if we don't take care of our own, the streets will take care of them, and they will start seducing them. That's when you got the human traffic scavengers trying to recruit the young girls, the Venezuelan young girls for human trafficking, the gangs trying to recruit the men to become gang members. And many of them, that from what we found out, are very skilled mechanics, carpenters. They got a lot of skills to offer. But once they can't find ways to feed themselves, well, they're getting food, but once they can't find ways to pay for this and that themselves, they're going to get desperate. And when they get desperate, that dark side of our city, the dark side of our state, don't mind showing them the way.
Yeah.
He nailed it on the head in regards to Venezuela with President Maduro, Hugo Chavez. People thought that Chavez was a tyrant a little bit, but they were oil rich when he was there. They were prospering. But once he died, his predecessor, Nicolas Maduro, like he said, has taken over, and that's when you got poverty. Poverty is the enemy. Poverty is the enemy all across the globe. If I say do this to them, how can I get upset about Europe the way they treating our African brothers and sisters when they trying to
Ukraine?
Yeah, exactly.
Ukraine.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't, the brothers and sisters couldn't get on the train, but this is my problem. We can't get on the train. The brothers and sisters couldn't get on the train in Ukraine to get out of there, but Ukraine could come over here and they can qualify for funds that we can't qualify for. That's where the problem is, where a lot of people are saying it's wrong. It's wrong that we're taking care of these people. They close down our schools. Then they clear a budget for $51 million to take care of the people. Now, I'm compassionate more than anybody else, but at the end of the day, they're coming over here getting jobs, and they're going to take away those. Yeah, they're going to take away those jobs that we should have. And then the main thing, we should have took care of our own before we took care of anybody else.
Absolutely.
What you think?
I absolutely agree with that. I agree. I have a level of compassion also because we're still talking about humanity, right? And that's everybody. But at the same time, I feel like, we have internally, it's like sweeping behind your own door, whatever the saying is, as far as taking care of home first. We have a number of individuals, hundreds of individuals in Chicago sleeping under Lower Wacker Drive. Have we addressed that? Are we just as aggressive with that as we are with supporting and cultivating and taking care of the migrants that are coming in? Again, when it's all said and done, I care about people, but I also think that there's some political, what's the right choice of words, influence here as well.
Sure.
We're approaching an election.
45 said build a wall.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean,
like
it's
Trump would
politics,
never.
so we'll deal with that.
I feel like there's some influence with that as well. I mean, the timing is just perfect. I mean, we have seen it all throughout the year, immigrants trickling in, but it's at an alarming rate now. Why? We're getting closer to the election. I think that there's some influence there as well.
The compassion part is like, if I want to feed my family, I got food for my family, but I take the food from my family and give it to another family. That's the compassion part. But the reality of it is that it's not fair, in my opinion.
Do we take our eyes off? Do we take our eyes off of topics like we hear reparation every blue moon? Yeah. When we hear flare-ups, when one of our brothers or sisters get killed or something, then we start talking about reparation. Reparation should be 365 days a year. And to be honest with you, some of the people who are negotiating for us on reparation, they're selling us short. Mm-hmm. That's the way I feel about it. What we have and coming to us should not even be indicative and should be compared to anyone else. Ours need to be there concrete 24/7. And I think we need to be a little bit more forceful with in regards to reparation or anything that's coming to our community. Yeah. And those who are in position, elected, I love you, and I'm gonna hold you accountable.
Right.
Don't take it personally.
Exactly. Exactly.
Our children are just as special as anybody else across the globe. Our young single mothers are just as special as anyone across the globe, and we demand, and we can't back off that. We can't go to sleep at the wheel.
That's it. Hey, 708-223-8953. 708-223-8953. Well, see, some of the things that how I look at it, the job situation. I'm gonna come in here with jobs. Somebody's even mentioned that they coming in here with diseases. And I mean, I'm just listening. I don't, but they're carrying diseases. They're going to infiltrate our housing system. Now, you tell us we can't educate these black kids over here that's been here, that parents work here. They pay into their Social Security. They pay into that, and we can't educate them, but we'll refurbish that school building and make it an apartment building to house them. And we got the people right up under the viaduct. Go ahead, Rand.
Check this out. The trap that we cannot fall for, because we got some diabolical characters in power, and they're all about diversion. If I can get these two to go at it and forget about the issue at hand, I win. You're going to forget about the devil that I am. Mm-hmm. Do y'all remember back in June 2020 when there was, I don't know if everybody paid attention, it was almost a race war in the city of Chicago.
Sure, I was living down there.
Y'all remember that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That Latino black thing that went down? Mm-hmm. If anybody thought it couldn't happen, it was really there right in front of us on social media. So the flare-up is possible if we let the diabolical ones who are living out in the suburbs or whatever and far away from the grind of the community, if we let them turn us into enemies. Mm-hmm. So my enemy, like I said, is anybody who's profiting off poverty, anybody who is sitting comfortable while our children are hungry, et cetera, et cetera. Those are my enemies. And I am not backing off the fact that we have a lot coming to us and we should not back away from it. For we cannot fall for the trap of turning them against us. That's when they win.
Y'all hear these young men talk about their experiences, their wisdom, their knowledge, and it's very important. If you guys got any questions, I got these discount cards for the Viola Shy dispensary, 708-223-8953. 708-223-8953. So yeah, we're here, and you know, there's a little controversy as far as how this immigrant thing is going, and these brothers have shared their opinions and their knowledge on it. I'm just interested in if this is going to be a one and done for Mayor Brandon Johnson, because these kind of situations can cost you like it did Mayor Lightfoot. And see, the problem is that it trickles out. Once it hits Chicago, it comes out this way.
It's coming.
So, and it's coming. So,
yeah. So I just want to share, because you know, my first comment was very based in compassion, and you know, it didn't mention you know, communities like Maywood or communities like you know, like the you know, Austin community, and you know, some of those other communities out south that are being impacted. And you know, I was seeing things about programs being taken away because we're, you know, like housing, you know, migrants and that type of thing. And, you know, like, that's not cool, you know, and that's what I was saying about, you know, again, it's one of those things, you know, I think not only Mayor Johnson, but Mayor Lightfoot, they both got hit with some really tough cards. Like, you're dealing with a pandemic that we've never seen before, and you have to make these decisions. And imagine, you know, you get hit with, you know, like, you know, these migrants out, you know, out of nowhere, right? Or seemingly nowhere. And so
it was,
you know,
it was designed. It's by design.
Yeah, so, you know, a lot of times,
absolutely.
and then, you know, it turns the community like, oh, Mayor Johnson, this is your fault. He's like, you think
Right.
you know,
Right.
and it's one of those things, like, sometimes we have to ask, you know, my boss says, you know, if you bring a problem to me, I want you to bring a solution as well. And so sometimes you have to ask yourself, so what would you do? You know, like, you're dealt with the facts, understand the facts, not, well, you know, what should have happened, we should be, you know, where we should be is this and that, and saying, well, that's not okay, but remember, we right here now, you got to come with a solution. It's so challenging, but you know, I do want to say, you know, this is where, and I'm at the local level, but here's where our community has to understand where our power is. We have a lot of spending power, and we do have a lot of political power, and we have to utilize that, because the things that we've been talking about, whether it's reparations or, you know, making these type of decisions, there's people that represent us that answer to us, and we cannot take that lightly. You know, I would use the example, if you saw a charge on your credit card for $2,000 that you didn't authorize, you're going to call the credit card company immediately. If you see something in your community that you don't like, what do? People don't have a good answer for that. No, there's a good answer. You talk to your elected official, you go up there, you community organize it, you let them know, here's what's going on, and then we come up with a solution. But it has to be solution based. And that's tough for a lot of people, because they don't, depend on how their life is going, they don't feel like that's their job or their responsibility. But in communities that thrive, they all respond together, and they utilize their power, not only to leverage what they think it is, but makes you think about it too. Okay, we're in this situation. What do we do? You know, what is the temporary solution? What is the long-term solution? And let's figure it out. But then big picture, okay, this is about to impact the economic market. You know, there's plenty of people that have opened up restaurants and say, man, I can't find people to work. You know,
I got a question for you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I got a question. Do the city of Chicago, do the state of Illinois get federal funding for these migrants coming over?
So from my knowledge, that's what's being requested. They haven't so far. So, you know, we have budget, just like you do a budget, you know, at the beginning of the year for, you know, your life. And what happens is this wasn't incorporated in the annual budget. Like, they didn't know that this was happening. So that $31 million is coming out of another pot. So they're trying to figure it out. 51, I'm sorry. That 51 million is coming out of this pot, and they're saying, hey, government, the ones that's kind of letting the, you know, immigration do this. Hey, so what's y'all plan? What a bread? You know, where's the, okay, so what's the plan here? And then how is this being allocated equitably? So we have a huge country. You know, there's about New York is getting hit real hard. Like, you know, they have, I think in Chicago, we might be at about 15 or 16,000. New York is at about 112,000. You think about going back to South America and Texas and some of these other, like Colombia has accepted about a little over 1 million Venezuelans. And, you know, and that's just one example. So this is also us taking a step back. This is a global thing. Global issues do have an impact on us. And sometimes we're so focused on our what's happening here that we don't even know what's going on globally. And so when it hits us, we kind of feel like we caught off guard and it seems unfair, but we have to understand that we are players in this. Like, you got to get in the game. This is not a democracy. Real life is a participation sport. You know, if you're sitting back uneducated and not informed, you're just going to be angry and mad, where it's like, okay, how do I figure this out? Right. And the community leaders have a role in that, but we also have to educate the people. And I think if the people were a little bit more educated, they'll say, okay, we got a problem here and let's figure this out, because the solution that y'all doing ain't working. You know, them being in our parks and this and that, that's not working, but here's what might work. Or, you know, and think big picture, okay, if y'all got this money, let's figure it out. That's what I would challenge our people to do.
And see, with in my opinion, with Brandon Johnson, put the brakes on it. 22 buses a day. That don't make no sense. Yeah. I mean, come on now, put the brakes on.
Mayor, before he was mayor, he was Commissioner Brandon Johnson.
Right.
And the collaboration that Best Advisor Township did with him as the commissioner out here in our area, if he needs help, I'm going to go in the city of Chicago. He was ride or die, Maywood, Bellwood, Broadview, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm willing to go in the city and help him do what he need to do. Let me ask y'all a question. Prior to the migrants, Venezuelans, they call them, they don't like using that word migrant. They like to use the diaspora. Were any of you really familiar, or did you really feel the impact of the migrants coming into the country before the governor of Texas sent them to Chicago? Because before you answer that, because it was a diabolical move, but it was a heck of a chess move to all the sanctuary cities. See, that word sanctuary was cute when you wasn't feeling it in your city, but now that you're feeling it, you know what I'm saying? So I'm just surprised that the city of Chicago haven't sent, because there's been some migrants sent to Burr Ridge. Burr Ridge lost their mind out there. Now, let's say you start sending more and more of the migrants to Southern Illinois, to red part of the state. Would they be a little bit more empathetic to what's going on in the city of Chicago? Because right now they're laughing because it's not affecting them.
Exactly.
Just like with COVID, everybody was laughing about what's going on over there in Asia. I mean, Asia, y'all remember it was black people can't catch COVID. Y'all remember that? I mean, but when it came here and impacted us, we was a little bit more empathetic with Asia and Europe and everything. So that governor, it was a diabolical move, but he got the city of Chicago attention. And now we're trying to figure out, okay, what do we do? We should be, hey, what do we do before it come to us? Because it's going to be coming this way. CB, that post I tagged John, I posted that back in May. And on that post, I said, hey, y'all, right now, y'all feel like having Maywood and Broadview and Bellwood. This is not going to affect you. But the migrants are walking to Maywood to get these $100 gift cards. It's coming. Eventually, they're going to be coming our way. So be prepared.
Yeah.
Do you mind if I just add to, you know, going back to the politics? So, you know, the Democratic National Convention is happening next year in Chicago. And, you know, politics is strange and is very selfish. But, you know, part of that move by the governor, in my humble opinion, Governor Abbott in Texas, like you said, taking advantage of the fact, like, oh, these are they said, come on, they got y'all, right? They need workers and all that stuff. So go ahead. You know, the other part of that is they want you to feel the impact of this, and you have Democratic leaders and say, "Oh man, this what y'all this is what y'all want." You know, it's psychology. You know, it's oh man, you see black people, they let y'all come, you know, they let the migrants pull up in y'all crib and take y'all resources, and man, that Democratic Party not really working, so y'all might as well come over to this side. Y'all might as well elect Trump. So, you know, you got to be aware of like kind of what's going on, because, you know, hey, you know, and get him out of jail because he about to go to jail, you know. So, you know, it's really like a really messed up situation. But, you know, what I will say is that all things considered, as a people and as far as we come, we are still blessed and we are resilient, and we're going to figure it out. If we decide we're going to figure it out. And I know it's tough. It's like, I already got bills to pay. I don't feel like going out here, going to no meetings and emailing people. But you know what? You might want to take 5 or 10 minutes. Right. Find out who your alderman is. You know, find out who your elected official is. Find out who, you know, email these federal people the same way you'd have the urgency of someone. If you saw a charge on your credit card, you figuring it out. And I think sometimes we don't take that sense of urgency when it comes to some of these other things. Like, you have that power. Now, maybe you emailing them by their cell phone happened, but imagine 10, 15, 20,000, that's votes. So that's how politicians respond to stuff.
Look at the contract.
They pissed off. Let me
Look
really try to figure it out. That's how you get it done. But you can't be lazy. You can't be unmotivated. You can't be not bought in. You can't think it's all rigged. It's rigged because the game plan is that you're not going to participate. That's the rigged part.
Okay. Hey, listen, man, I really, really appreciate you guys sharing your knowledge about the migrant situation. People have different opinions, and from a political standpoint, from a social standpoint, you guys have shared your wisdom with us, and we really appreciate it. Now, tell us about the bike ride, because you guys got this going on. I'll tell you this, back in the day, it was I think he was a lieutenant or a commander back then. His name was Mac Woods, and he used to sponsor a bike ride in this for the village of Maywood, and everybody from the whole Proviso Township used to come out, and then he turned it over to Sonia Horn, and she made it even bigger. So when I hear about the tour, Proviso, it took me back. So tell us about Jesus.
Okay.
Hey, we ain't getting no shirt.
I was just about to say that, Chris. You know how
you come
we
out
like
on Saturday,
this.
you'll get a shirt. You come out Saturday, you'll get a shirt.
I need a bike first.
Right.
I need a bike first. I got to give me a bike.
Well, it was renting bikes.
Yeah.
For free.
So, okay. Well, so tell us about.
Yeah. So this bike ride, this is the 4th annual. So this is happening on Saturday. So this will be in Westchester at, what's the name of the park?
Mayfair.
Park. Thank you. We're gonna be starting. We kicking off 8:00 sharp. So you got to get there early. It's gonna be a little chilly, I know, but go ahead, get up and let's make it happen. It's gonna be a beautiful scene. We have about almost 400 riders registered, about 350, 400 riders. 450. So we have 450 riders. This is a big deal of the core of the Proviso Township and the neighbors of the Proviso Township. We're gonna come out, we're just gonna have a good time and network, and that's what it's about. But how it started during the pandemic in 2020, Mayor Thompson of Broadview, shout out to Broadview Strong. She was doing her own thing with bike rides every Saturday, I believe, in the morning. She'd either do a walk or a bike ride, and so I was looking to get out, and so I just ended up joining her on her bike rides, and we would talk, and we'd go on this route on the Salt Creek path. And, I would, ride, ride through Broadview, and we end up sometimes in Westchester and Elmhurst, and it was a beautiful scene. And I'm like, I didn't even know this existed. I knew about the Prairie Path, but I didn't know about this. And I'm like, man, if I didn't know about this and I'm an elected official in town, I know a lot of people don't know about this. And I was like, you know what, Mayor, we should consider doing something kind of like Tour de France, where, they go around all of the mountains of France and they ride through the whole thing. Like, we should do that for our township, because our township has so much to offer. And it's a good opportunity where we can get out during COVID. You can still social distance. You can get some, it's outside. And so she was like, yeah, let's do it. So, we landed on the name Tour de Proviso, and it started off with the core, 3 villages, Maywood, Broadview, and Bellwood. Shout out to Mayor Harvey. And, it's just been a beautiful thing. It started at just a collaboration to get out and exercise and, keep our energy up. And then, it's turned into hopefully to be a new tourism attraction for our villages, so it can impact economics. But, it also heightens, it also shows the infrastructure that you need to put on events and the resources you need. And so it's highlighting that bike lanes, with the cost of living and cars and insurance and stuff. Like, bikes are a real opportunity for people to get around. And, we can have that culture. And we have a place where, our communities that are walkable and bikeable are normally good signs of communities where you could do that, and that's active, especially for our youth. So, that's the energy behind it. And, it's built a lot of great community collaboration. And first it starts off with bike rides, right? Some of that pomp and circumstance, fun stuff. And then we start talking about economics, and then we start talking about jobs and, opportunities to get our community more involved. Cause we mentioned, we talk about grocery stores and coffee shops and stuff. You got to have a regional appeal. You need Broadview to say, hey, no, y'all need to go to Maywood and, shop there. You need Merrill's Park to say that. And so you gotta develop relationships. People are about relationships. Policy can't force that. Can't force culture. People have to do that. And so that's the energy behind this. And now Best Proviso Township is leading the way this year in terms of organizing, and they've done Fantastic job working with Westchester to get it done. And Randy, I don't know if you have anything to add, but that's what's going on.
Mary Katrina Thompson, you better have something to add. Firstly, for me, I've been riding for years. At one time, I had 6 bicycles. I used to ride on Lakefront, Salt Creek Trail. I've been riding over there for like 15 years. Schaumburg. So I've always been a rider. One of the things that really honored me is that Trustee Jones and Mayor Thompson and Mayor Harvey came to us, Best Proviso Township, because this was being in a collaboration with Tour de Proviso and the Visit Oak Park. Visit Oak Park is a tourism. Mm-hmm. Mayor Thompson said, and Trustee and Mayor Harvey said, wait a minute. Okay, we like tourism in our Proviso Township, so we need an organization that's based out of Proviso Township. And by them coming to us, I feel as though they've been watching what we've been doing. And they realize we're trustworthy, and they realize that we will nurture and cultivate what they founded. So when they came to us with it, Rajeska already knew I was going to say yes. I already told her, like, about 2 years before they started, I told her that we need to do some type of ride in the neighborhood. She's like, oh, here you go. I'm tired of, so when they came, it was a big yes. So it's grown. We've had a great relationship with the Village of Westchester. The ride, like this year, is going through the Salt Creek Trail, the one that Trustee Jones is talking about. Here's the thing. We added something different this year. There's a trophy for the village that registered the most riders.
That's good.
So when this registration started, the Village of Westchester shot up. And the reason being is the Village of Westchester have a Westchester cycle group. They were about 50 strong. Mm-hmm. So off the back, they went up to about 58 riders. Mm-hmm. Maywood was dragging back to 14, Bellwood, Broadview. So once we added that trophy, Maywood reeled them in. Broadview reeled them in. Mm-hmm. I think it was a brilliant idea that Trustee Brandon and Rachel Montgomery of Brighter Minds, they came up with that, providing free bicycles. They was going to rent bicycles for anyone who didn't have a bike.
I don't have a bike.
It's too late. It closed. But if you're going to ride, I'll bring out your bike for you.
No.
Okay. I got him. See that?
Look at him.
You see that?
Right.
Speak on it.
I'm going to walk. That's what I do. I walk. I don't ride. But when I get my own bike, see, I don't want to be responsible for your bike.
That's all good.
You got to answer for everything.
Yeah.
But you won't be responsible. The love movement will be responsible.
Okay.
Right.
But yeah, and so the trail is already
the route. It's a 4.6 route. And here's the thing about it, that competition. Everybody who registered for the village have to be on the grounds at 7:30 be accounted for. So Maywood still got a shot. Maywood ended up not losing, but Westchester had 89, Maywood had 81, Broadview had 77. Pretty close. So those villages still have a chance to win it this Saturday. So, but they had to be on the grounds at 7:30 be accounted for. Right. And we would give away a trophy. Senator Majority Leader Kim Lightfoot will be there. House Speaker Chris Welch will be there to handle the festivities. So it's grown. It's going to get bigger. Me personally, me and Trustee Jones been talking about. There was a big bicycle race in Lombard and Brookfield. I mean, imagine those road bikes going like 45 miles per hour down Madison racing. They did those in Lombard in Brookfield, and it brought out thousands of people. We at 500 now. I believe we can get up into the thousands in regards to riders and viewers. Yeah. So that's the whole thing. And the mental health component. I used to work out at Stateville. That's when I started really riding. So for me, it was mental health when I got off work to go ride, and that's how.
You were at work at Stateville, right?
I used to work there.
No, he wasn't there.
He was riding the bike in Stateville.
No. He was a free man.
I used to work for the Department of Corrections. So part of my release was riding on the lakefront. That's how I unwind it. So that's how I fell in love with it.
Hey man, you guys are great. I appreciate you for coming in. And once again, I think it's a great idea. I had it when I was a police officer back in the 80s, and you guys are taking it to another level. Do you have sponsorship, or is it the registration part? Can they come in that day on Saturday.
Good question, Greg.
And get in?
Them excellent questions. You can still register online right now, and you can still show up. The only thing is that at this time you won't be guaranteed a T-shirt. And we had some great sponsors like the Village of Broadview, Village of Bellwood, Maywood, Berkeley, who else? River Forest, Westchester, and then
is Melrose involved?
Melrose didn't they're not involved at this time, but they have been involved in the past.
Okay.
The invite went out to all the 14 villages in the township, and then some of the companies within Westchester, like Chris Engineering, this an ingreding company. I'm gonna send it to you, but it's maybe about 10 other companies that donated sponsorship. And by the way, portion of the proceeds that was raised, I shouldn't. Portion of proceed will be going to the Westchester Food Pantry. The Westchester Food Pantry will receive some.
Okay.
Some
That's
of the
on
funds.
Manheim, am I correct?
Yeah, that's Manheim, and some of the riders are bringing food also to donate to the pantry.
Okay, that makes sense. Listen, I got these passes for the Viola Shy. Viola Shy.
The heck? He don't
Viola
be
Shy.
loud.
If y'all want to meet me at 717, and I'm gonna be passing them out at 717. But I really appreciate you guys. Y'all see them. Viola Shy. They got the 20% discounts. But anyway, the question of the week.
Oh,
we didn't get
I
past
thought
No, we didn't get past that.
I thought I walked them down.
Question of the week. I still got a few more minutes.
I listen.
You guys. And I asked him, and a lot of people had something to say, and you know, everybody got their own opinion, and this is what it's about. And we're my thing is we learn from each other. I learn from you. I learn from you. You learn, you know, from whoever you learn from, whatever. But I learn from each and every one of y'all. And when I asked the question, should married couples get involved in swinging? Now that's my question to you guys. I'll tell you what they said on the book, but what you think?
Take your time.
I was gonna say, I was gonna.
No, you take as long as you need.
Oh, wow. Well, so I'll say this: I'm not married, so you know I can't really speak.
So you'll be involved in swinger because you're not married.
How you get that from me?
Well, I mean, like, don't you have to be married?
Yeah, that's the question.
You know what I'm saying? So
I'm just doing what I do.
So I mean, I wouldn't judge anyone that participates in it. I mean, it's all about you and your spouse, right? And what y'all are comfortable with. Ultimately, at the end of the day. Now, me personally, nah, probably not. No, that's not. That's not. No, that's not the game plan. I mean, if I'm gonna get married to you,
Not the strategy.
no, that's not the. Well, and you know what it is. To be honest with you, it's not that I can't see it being fun or being exciting. It goes back to sustainability, and when you have people entering your relationship in certain capacities, that normally just doesn't have a good long-term impact.
My niece, Lakeisha Johnson, she said that's stuff that you should explore before you get
right.
married.
Yeah, exactly.
And that was one of her coming back. And then somebody else said it could be messy. My other niece, Ashley, she said it could get messy. But I'll say this: you have to be real mature.
Yeah.
To get involved in something like that, because it's out here though. Oh, yeah. I mean, it's out here heavy, but you have to be real mature, and you got to have your partner. Y'all got to have a deep meaning for each other to get involved in something like that. So I asked the question, and one dude said, "Hell no." He said, "Hell no." For what? It don't make sense. And then other people say, "Hey, if you cheating on them already."
Oh God!
That's my man Anthony Lee.
Why get married is the question. That should be the question. Why get married?
Anthony went to Washington Wildcats.
Oh, did he? Shout out to the Wildcats.
And said, hey, if you cheating on them already behind their back, you might as well participate. So I mean, it's just how other people think. and it's very interesting how we went about it. But fellas, once again, thanks for having fun with us. Thanks for coming on the show. We really appreciate you. We're going to have you each back to share your knowledge and individually as well as collectively about the state of the village of Maywood and the state of the Proviso Township, because we got a lot of things going. Now, each one of you, give us something that you would give a young black man. Tell him something that you would want to leave with him before you guys get out of here.
I like how Miguel always say
Right. Well, okay. So, what I would say is a couple things. One, find a mentor. Figure out what you want to do in life that's righteous, and get a mentor. Someone that you can learn from, and somebody that you can add value to as well. So someone that you can learn from, but then you can help them out. You got to lean in on your education. You need to lean in on your spirituality, your mental health, and try to figure out how you can make an honest dollar out here. And that's difficult. That's why you need a mentor, and that's why you need education. That's why you need to get outside your comfort zone, and you need someone that's going to push you, and somebody that's going to hold you accountable. And you need to have a high standard for yourself, and have a work ethic, and realize that no one owes you anything, but God got your back. And if you work for it, He's going to look out for you. But the unfortunate thing about what's happening in our communities is that sometimes you can work and you can still eat, and that's not supposed to really be the case. You got to be able to provide for yourself at a certain point in time. You got to remember that. So, want to make your mom and dad proud, get you a mentor, find out how you can get a skill set. There's going to be a lot of, with the infrastructure bill happening, there's going to be a lot of jobs in some of these trades, plumbers, electricians. People that are good with their hands, architects, welders.
Let's take this call on the Love Line.
Yes,
Who
sir.
we got? Welcome to the Love Line.
Hi, this is Moonshine Slim with the door.
My man, what's up, big boy?
Moon, what up?
It's good to you. Please show some sign.
Amen.
Text someone, tag someone, tell someone.
right.
I just wanted to tell you guys that you guys are doing an excellent job, and I'm here to mentor and support anything with the love movement.
I know.
Bless
that's
you,
right.
man. We really appreciate you, big bro. And we very proud of you as well, because that underground thing you doing is awesome. I think it's awesome.
Well, it's going to be mainstream. It's not going to stay underground for long.
Okay, well let's do it. I told you if
Talk
you
your
use your
stuff,
mouth,
Moon.
make some money doing it, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
See you at the alumni game, Moon. October the 28th.
Oh yeah, you see I got my sweater made already.
Okay, that'll work. All right, big bro. I'll talk to you in a few minutes. We finna close out, and thank you for the call in, big bro.
All right, love you.
I love you too. Yeah. So, Randy, what you
Real quick, because I know we're closing
what
out.
advice would you leave a young black man?
Young brothers, do not judge your path by others,
Yes.
and be mindful of the booby traps. Be mindful of the seductions of decisions of trying to impress others that will entrap you and be a detriment to your future.
God
You know,
bless
if you looked upon as being a lame, don't worry about that. Be patient, because you're gonna, that lame that they say that you are, they're gonna be looking at you in a different light when you blossom in the future. So
there you go.
So
Oh, you the lame from
Right here. I was the most unlikely to succeed in my
Oh,
school.
wow.
My
Yeah,
teachers
I felt
looked
that,
at
you know.
me. They was
I felt
like,
that.
I don't know what this boy gonna do right. 'Cause I was not a dude. I was not.
I know you was something else.
Stop it.
Okay.
But anyway,
can I say one more thing? Thank y'all for this show.
Absolutely.
What y'all
bless you.
doing?
For real.
Y'all putting incredible knowledge out in our community, and you giving people a voice. We appreciate y'all. I want
Yes.
to thank this man for letting me go when I ran a stop sign on 12th and Madison at the age of 18. I was scared out of my mind. Thank God we played him in the Officer Pirates game the week before.
Yes.
But a lot of these stories they be telling, I forget because I ain't trying to do nothing wrong to nobody. I just want to treat everybody fair. Right. And at the end of the day, I want to thank everybody for tuning in to the Love Movement Podcast. My girls, Lady Z, the hottest goddess, and the money-minded Toya Capri. Fellas, thanks a lot.
Appreciate y'all.
Thank you.
As we will leave you always, treat people the way you want to be treated and never give up. That's the Love Movement Podcast. Thank you.
Yes.
Just got dressed, need something to get into. Pretty girl on deck, she just wanna have fun too. She know how to